Hi there. Yesterday I was going to do this video. I'm going to be making vegetarian tortilla soup. It's really delicious, nutritious, and not too high calories, actually rather low. Under 300 calories for a serving, so that's cool. However, I didn't have tofu. So this morning I made tofu and I thought making a video so I could be showing you how to make tofu from dried soybeans, but I had all kinds of problems. I made the tofu, no problem there. It was the videotaping that was the challenge. Plus it had been a long time since I'd made it, so I made some mistakes. Anyway, that's not a video that I can put together. However, if you're really interested, I'll do it again. And this time, make sure that I'm taping correctly. So anyway, let's get started with this soup. I'll show you my tofu that I made this morning. And here it is, homemade tofu, which is why it's kind of caved in the middle. Doesn't matter, I'm gonna cut it up anyway. But that's fresh tofu with no preservatives, and it's good. You might remember, Anna, when you were little, I used to make homemade tofu fairly often. Okay, so that's that. Let me show you the rest of the ingredients. This one I have had some trouble finding, so I have, on more than one occasion, I have substituted different kinds of chilies. This is a pasilla chili. It's a black chili, or pasilla negro chili. Anyway, I ordered it from Amazon, so I've got the right chili this time. I'm not sure if I've ever even made it with the correct kind. Gonna have some garlic cloves, 3 garlic cloves. Gonna have, I'm gonna use some, diced tomatoes. It was supposed to be fire roasted tomatoes, but I can't find those anywhere. So just plain diced tomatoes. A white onion. I think it says a medium white onion, and this is kind of large, but they seem to be all large right now. Anyway, we love onions, so if I have a little extra in the soup, that's not a problem for me. We're gonna need some canola oil, a lime, some kind of Mexican cheese. I got this Trader Joe's Mexican style cheese, but there are other kinds suggested. Let's see what they are. Shredded Mexican melting cheese, such as Chihuahua or Asadero or Monterey Jack or mild cheddar. This right here is a combination of sharp cheddar, Monterey Jack, Asadero, and queso blanco cheese. All right, pretty good. So that's what we need. Oh, and we need some Swiss chard, and I picked these yesterday out of my backyard. So that's cool. That's it for the ingredients. This is a recipe from eatingwell.com. I have used a few of their recipes for videos here. Well, it's not unusual to roast fresh chilies for various dishes. In fact, if you remember, we roasted chilies for the sandwich that I did the video for. Well, this one's a little bit weird to me, but what the heck? Do what they say. This one says to roast the dried chilies. So let's do it. I have done this before. It's dry, so it's not going to take very much, and I don't want to start a fire, which I think I could. Anyway, with metal tongs, you hold it, and right away you can hear it crackling, and you're supposed to cook this until the flavor, the smell in the kitchen is wonderful. And it already is. So see, it's not going to take much. Just kind of chard a little bit. Here's one. We need 3. So, oh gosh, the smell is so amazing. Needless to say, it goes much faster when they're dried than when they're fresh. Okay, there you go. 2. And here's the 3rd one. As you can see, it'll catch fire a little bit. That's all right, it goes out pretty fast. Okay, that's it. Now I'm going to put them on a plate. Right there. And just set them aside to cool. I forgot one of the ingredients. It's epazote, which is a Mexican herb, I guess. I used to have some growing in my yard. I don't anymore. So I use this. This is dried pinsies. You know, I love pinsies. And so we'll use some of that. So now I want to get my ingredients all prepared. I need to chop the onion. I need to wash the Swiss chard and cut that up and cut up the tofu. I want to get all that stuff done ahead of time. So let's start with the onion. So we're going to slice the onion a 1/4 inch thick. So since this is soup, and I know it doesn't have to be, you know, fancy, I'm going to cut it in half first. It just makes it a lot easier to slice. Messy. So I'm going to cut it this way. And then slice it. 1/4 inch. It's a little thick, but that's okay. Okay, now I'm going to wash the Swiss chard and then I'm going to chop it. Well, I forgot 2 more things that go in it. A large avocado. These aren't that large, so I'm going to probably use 2. And tortilla chips. This is why it's tortilla soup. It's got tortilla chips in it. I only need 2 cups, so that's why I've got this open bag. I'll just use 2 cups of our snacks. Okay, now I need to chop the Swiss chard. I've washed it. You could use spinach if you prefer. I prefer Swiss chard to spinach, but they're both good. Okay, so here we go. As I have told you before, in fact, I told you in a previous video, I think, Swiss chard stems are soft. You can include them. So I'm just going to chop those. Chop it. I'm supposed to have 4 cups. Looks like I'm going to probably have more than that. Whatever. Oh yeah, something else. I thought I was more prepared. I also need some vegetarian chicken flavored bouillon. So I'm going to use my Chinese bouillon. Use any kind you like. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just cut these and, you know, I'll come back. I've chopped my Swiss chard and I have it here waiting. Now I'm going to cut the tofu into 1/2 to 3/4 inch cubes. So, a little uneven because it's homemade, but it'll be fine. So, let's do it this way. I don't make tofu very often. I mean, I haven't in years because it's inexpensive and easy to find. So, you know, it's kind of a lot of work to make tofu, but it's kind of fun too. So, that's fine. I don't want to do that whole thing. I'll do it like this. Oh, and my recipe makes, I weighed it. I didn't know how much it was going to be. It weighed 14.65 ounces. And when you buy a package in the supermarket, it's generally between 14 and 15 ounces. So that worked out perfectly. All right, there we go. Now I'm going to set that aside. And I'll tell you what's next. What's next is we were waiting for these chilies to cool down enough to handle. And so they are now. So I'm gonna break it. I need something to put these, I know what I'll do. Do it here, and I'll put the rest on the plate to go throw it away. So I wanna remove the stem and the seeds. So I can hear them rattling. I'll just cut in like this. Or you can break it, it doesn't matter. And I'm gonna put the little pieces, broken pieces, into my blender container. Okay, look at all those seeds. Ooh, this really smells so good. I wish you were here so you could smell this. So, get rid of all the seeds and then break it into pieces and put it in the blender. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of this so you don't have to watch. Done. So here they are in the bottom of my blender. So all I'm going to do now is put in the can of tomatoes, their diced tomatoes, and their juice. And I'm going to go blend that. Okay, so here's what it looks like. I have blended it. So I'm just going to leave it there because I'm going to add to it. Let's go over and cook the onions. So I've got my nice big Dutch oven. I'm going to turn it on medium. Put in 2 tablespoons of canola oil. You could use olive oil if you wanted, but you know, I'm using canola oil. So there's 1, 2. Okay. And I'm going to put in my onions. And I'm going to put in my garlic. Now, this is just 3 cloves of garlic that have been peeled, and that's all. So you just put it in like that. Okay. Now I'm going to put on the lid so it'll get hot. And I'm going to cook that for 6 to 9 minutes until the onions are looking golden. And then we'll see what's next. While the onions are cooking, I'm going to go ahead and cook the tofu because that has to be cooked too. And to do it, I'm going to use my ginormous skillet. So I need a couple teaspoons full of oil in here on medium heat. That's about the right amount. Heat that up a little bit. Okay. I'm going to put this right in there. I want to cook this in a single layer. That's why I got my huge pan. So just do that. And I'm just going to cook this until it's nice and golden brown. And while I'm over here talking about golden brown, I'll check on my onions, which are over here. I moved it. All right. Yeah, just got a ways to go. Well, there's one that's starting to brown a little bit. Okay. And we wait. I turned the heat up to medium-high for the tofu because tofu does seem to take a long time to cook. But I'm supposed to cook it until the tofu starts to brown. And as you can see, hopefully you can see, it is starting to brown. So I think that's good enough. Now, I'm just going to set this aside. And I'm going to move the Dutch oven back here. And let's have a look. The onions are also supposed to be kind of beginning to brown. That looks good enough to me. So, here's what we do now. I got the blender here. Maybe you can't see. There. Now I'm going to scoop up these onions and garlic. I turned off the heat. I'm going to put these in the blender with the tomatoes and chilies. Put them in the blender. And then I'm going to blend it until it's nice and smooth. There we go. I've turned the stove back on, medium, under the pot. And when it gets really hot, I'm going to pour my smooth mixture from the blender. So let's see. This is an iron pot, so it's really good about holding the heat. So I don't think I'm going to have to wait. I'm not going to wait for it to, get as hot. So here's my mixture, which you can't see. I'm going to put that in. And I can hear the sizzle, which means it's hot. This is such a dangerous thing. Blades are very sharp. So I'm not touching them. I don't ever touch them. I clean it with a brush so I don't have to touch the sharp blades. Okay. Yep, that's hot, all right. So now, I just need to stir this frequently, and I'm going to cook it until it's about the consistency of tomato paste. This is a little thinner than that, so I'll cook that down. I'm going to leave the lid off because I want some of that moisture to evaporate. I've been cooking this for about 6 minutes, stirring almost constantly, and it's pretty thick. I'm trying to imagine what tomato paste would look like if it were hot, and I think maybe this is about it. It's pretty thick though. So what I'm going to do now is I put 4 cups of water in my blender, and that's really because I'm just gonna kind of clean out some of that goodness. And since I'm using powdered fake chicken flavoring, I'm gonna add it to water. So we need 4 cups of broth. So here's my 4 cups of water that I'm putting in. Plus this makes the blender easier to wash after doing that. And then I need to put in my vegetarian chicken flavoring. And as I've told you before, this stuff is very salty. So it's supposed to be 1 teaspoonful to 1 cup, but that's gonna make this soup too salty for us. So I'm just gonna, do that. You have to kind of experiment because you want it to be, flavorful enough, but not too salty. So that's kind of a lot for us right there. Okay, stir that in. I put in 4 cups of broth. Now I'm putting in 4 cups of water. And I'm not adding broth for my, flavoring. So there's that. And also, if you have the fresh epazote, you put in a sprig. Since I don't have it, I'm just gonna kind of estimate how much would be in a sprig. Maybe half a teaspoon or so. And what I like to do is I like to crunch up those herbs, because I always think it's going to give it more flavor if you break them apart. Okay, now we're going to bring it to a boil, so I guess I better turn that up to medium high or high, whatever you need. I'm going to put the lid on to make it boil faster. When it boils, you're going to turn down the heat to like a medium or maybe medium low. You want to keep it simmering So I'll just check often and see when it starts boiling on high. Okay. Now we're going to add the tofu. Give it a stir. And then I'm going to set the timer for 30 minutes. And I'll leave this on until it starts simmering again. It's supposed to simmer for 30 minutes. Now while the soup is simmering, there's a couple things we need to take care of. So, and I've already done one of them, which is I cut the lime into 6 pieces. And I decided to do it, well, if I put it together, you can see I sliced it in half crossways. It just makes it easier to squeeze. This is just something we're going to serve alongside the soup. So there's the lime ready to go. Let's do the avocado. Okay. So we're going to cut it in half like this. That's not a lovely avocado. Let's try this one. Okay, so let me show you a little trick. Be careful. Hold the avocado that's got the seed in it, the half that's got the seed. Take your knife, make sure your fingers are well below the surface, and you just go like this. And you can easily remove the seed. Make sure those fingers are out of the way. And then I just take a butter knife like this and I cut it like into thirds or fourths, and then like this way, till they're about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch cubed. And then I just run the knife along the inside of the skin, go all the way around, and then push my knife down under. All right, so you got some stuff left inside, but I would just scrape that, throw it in. So that's all you have to do. While the soup is simmering for 30 minutes, I cut up my avocado and my lime. I also cleaned all the dishes. This is a great opportunity, a great time to clean everything up so that after dinner, when you just want to relax, you don't have to deal with all those dishes. Just the few, your bowls and spoons and, well, the pot also. Anyway, just a little tip. Oh, and also, if you bought a chunk of cheese instead of the already shredded like I have, this would be the time for you to shred that cheese. How much? Not sure. You need 3/4 of a cup of cheese or more if you like more. It's supposed to make 8 bowls of soup. So you're just gonna get a little sprinkling of cheese on top. That's up to you. Anyway, this would be a good time to do that. Okay, we're almost there. It's been 30 minutes, and now it's time to add the greens. I'm adding Swiss chard. You can add kale or spinach if you prefer. So here we go. Yummy. it in. Should be 4 cups. Looks like I might have more than 4 cups, but I'm okay with that. So now, just gonna stir it for a couple of minutes. Well, I don't have to stir it continuously. Until the greens are wilted. If you're using spinach, that's gonna happen really fast. Kale might take longer than this. So I think 2 minutes should be good. And there it is, all done. Looks delicious. So let me show you how we serve it. Gonna put it in a bowl, naturally. Okay. Come on over here. Here's the bowl. And kind of far away. Okay, so we're gonna do, I'm gonna put in some of the avocado. Actually, I probably should have put the cheese in first, so it could be melting. Just gonna put in some cheese, you know, whatever you feel like. Yeah, this is a big bowl. And chips. So we're just gonna break the chips up. And serve it with a lime slice. Or you could go ahead and just squeeze it in. And that's it. Yum.